Facing the commander, the tall servant knelt. "What do you have there?" Caesar asked while pointing at a large bundle. "It is a gift," the man replied. "A beautiful carpet. Please unroll it, and you will see an exquisite pattern." This is the scene that usually precedes the appearance of Cleopatra in films about her. We see a beautiful woman rising from an unrolled carpet, and then we follow the drama of her life until we reach a tragic conclusion. But was it really like that? Many ancient authors wrote about Cleopatra. Plutarch, Suetonius, Appian, Josephus, Dio Cassius, and Strabo all documented her life. Interestingly, they all tried to portray the queen in a negative light. This is not surprising, as many Romans considered her a treacherous and dangerous woman who threatened the stability of their state. But what do we actually know about the life of Cleopatra? Was she truly a fatal beauty and a profligate? Why did she start a relationship with Caesar, and why did she ultimately fail in her confrontation with Rome? Who was the real Cleopatra behind the myths? Cleopatra was born in 69 before the Common Era in Alexandria. At that time, Egypt was ruled by her father, Ptolemy XII. There is no precise information about the mother of the future Egyptian queen, but historians believe she was one of the concubines of Ptolemy. We know little about the youth of Cleopatra, but we can assume that the time spent in Alexandria largely shaped her personality. The abundance of historical sites linked to the past and the vast library all deeply interested the girl. However, Cleopatra could not even dream of a serene and calm life. In the years 58 to 55 before the Common Era, a revolt raged in Egypt. The causes were poor harvests, famine, economic decline, and the short-sighted policies of Ptolemy. The situation became so serious that the king had to flee the capital and ask the Romans for help. Of course, the support of Rome was far from free. It cost a great deal of money. However, Ptolemy managed to return to the Egyptian throne. In all likelihood, it was then that young Cleopatra began to realize how important it was to fight for power until the end, and how one could find a powerful ally in the person of Rome. By the way, there is an assumption that the young woman first saw Julius Caesar and Mark Antony at that time, men who would play a special role in her fate. In essence, Ptolemy became a puppet in the hands of the Romans, who gained access to the riches of Egypt. Caesar, as an experienced commander, understood that during the civil war in Rome, a wealthy Egypt could become a dangerous weapon in the hands of his opponents. Meanwhile, things were not calm in Egypt. According to the will of Ptolemy XII, power was passed to his daughter Cleopatra VII and her younger brother Ptolemy XIII. They were joined in a formal marriage, which was customary, but the relationship remained far from warm. Cleopatra desired to be an independent ruler, and the young Ptolemy served as an obstacle. She removed him from the throne for some time. However, this young man managed to secure the support of influential advisors and staged a coup. In 48 before the Common Era, Cleopatra had to flee Egypt. She presumably hid in Syria, but soon fate gave her a chance to return. It is difficult to say how the life of Cleopatra would have unfolded if the senator Gnaeus Pompey had not fled to Egypt during his confrontation with Caesar. As soon as Pompey arrived on Egyptian lands, young Ptolemy ordered his murder to present the head of Pompey as a gift to Caesar. However, the king made a serious miscalculation. Gaius Julius, who landed in Egypt, was not happy about the death of his countrymen, but was instead enraged at Ptolemy. At that moment, Cleopatra decided to take advantage of the situation. Dio Cassius wrote that Cleopatra secretly entered the palace, and Plutarch noted that she was hidden in a sleeping bag which was brought by one of the servants. The very next day, Caesar calmed the enraged Ptolemy, reminding him that the will of his father listed not only him, but also his sister as rulers. Caesar immediately realized that Cleopatra could be a profitable ally. There was a political calculation on each side, but that did not mean there was no mutual passion between the Roman and the Egyptian queen. Often in movies, Cleopatra is shown as a flawless beauty. But was she really such a beauty? After studying portraits, sculptures, and coins, historians have concluded that the facial features of Cleopatra could not be called classic or refined. Curly hair gathered in a bun, a nose with a hump, and dark skin, She resembled an ordinary Greek woman of that era. Yet she knew how to charm almost everyone. As Plutarch wrote, her appearance, combined with the rare persuasiveness of her speech and the huge charm that permeated every word, was firmly etched in the soul. She also received an education that was not typical for women of that time. She knew at least 6 languages, was interested in science, and was a far-sighted politician. Soon after, a revolt against the Romans was suppressed. Cleopatra became the sole ruler. After Caesar left for Rome, Cleopatra gave birth to a son, Ptolemy Caesar, known as Caesarion. In the summer of 46 before the Common Era, Cleopatra arrived in Rome. Her presence there and her connection with Caesar caused a lot of tension, which likely contributed to the conspiracy against the Roman dictator. In 44 before the Common Era, Caesar was killed. Cleopatra had to return to Alexandria. She then repeated her strategy with Mark Antony. She arrived to meet him on a luxurious ship, appearing as the goddess Venus. The commander was stunned. He followed her to Egypt, where they spent most of their time in festivities. This weakened his position. Octavian, his rival, used this to his advantage, portraying the conflict as a war of the Roman people against the Egyptian queen. In the decisive battle at Actium in the year 31 before the Common Era, Cleopatra and Antony were defeated. The final chapter is shrouded in mystery. Mark Antony took his own life. Cleopatra, upon learning that Octavian intended to parade her through Rome as a trophy, decided to end her life. According to legend, she claimed that she was not made to wear shackles. Whether it was the bite of a poisonous snake or a hidden poison, her death marked the end of an era. The story of this woman continues to capture our imagination, and her image has become truly immortal, even if little of the real Queen of Egypt remains in the myths.